Hello students, welcome to my class. We are doing R K Narayan's The Guide, and before I start teaching you guide, I would like to give you a brief introduction of R K Narayan. I will tell you about his life and career. R K Narayan's full name is Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer Narayanaswamy, but commonly he is known as R K Narayan. He was an Indian writer known for his work set in the backdrop of the fictional town of Malgudi in South India. R K Narayan is now regarded as one of the greatest of Indians writing in English. He is the most artistic of the Indian writers, his sole aim being to give aesthetic satisfaction and not to use his art as a medium of propaganda or to serve some social purpose, as is the case with Mulk Raj Anand. Though the family belonged originally to Rasipuram, but long before R K Narayan was born, his family had shifted to Madras, and it was here that Narayan was born in 1906. And soon after his birth, the father got a job as a school teacher in Mysore, and the family moved over there. About his education, R K Narayan was never a very good student. He failed both in high school and intermediate examinations, and he could get his degree only when he was 24 years old. And these failures at school and college made him very shy, reserved and diffident, an introvert and not an extrovert. That is, वो बहुत ही शर्मीले स्वभाव के थे. He was an introvert. It is said that once he even tried to commit suicide, and ever since he has been reserved and modest, or rather we can say he was too modest. He graduated from Maharaja College, Mysore in 1930. And as his father was a humble school teacher and had a large family to support, and Narayan was called upon to contribute to the family income soon after his graduation. So first of all, he worked for some time as a clerk in the Mysore Secretariat and then as a teacher in a village school. But both these professions did not suit him, and his ambition, even as early as his school days, had always been to become a writer. So, only after a month or so, he gave up his job as a school teacher and decided to devote all the time to writing. As he tells us that he has decided not to sell himself but simply to write novels and live off the joint family system. And in those days, it was unthinkable that an Indian could become a successful writer in English. And his father also did not like this idea. But Narayan went ahead with great confidence and soon achieved eminent success as a novelist and short story writer. But his most important event took place in 1935 when he met his future wife Rajam for the first time. And Narayan was enamored of her and he wanted to marry her. So it was a kind of a case of love at first sight, and Narayan went straight to the girl's father, Nageshwar Iyer, and proposed marriage. And it was something most unusual and unconventional in those times. But parents were impressed by his frankness and honesty and agreed to the marriage. But then the horoscopes did not tally. Horoscopes क्या होते हैं? कुंडली नहीं मिली. साउथ इंडिया में बहुत रिवाज है कुंडली मिलाने का, but these horoscopes did not tally or match. So Nageshwar Iyer's astrologer was positive that Narayan would prove either a polygamist or a widower. So, because the stars had determined that he should not be happy with just one wife. But this young man was not to be put off so easily. So he got an astrologer of his own, and who at the sight of rupees, he went into ecstasies over Narayan's horoscope, and he actually supported this marriage. So he was an accomplished debater and defeated the other Pandit. And Rajam's parents, realizing that he was from a good family and large family, that whatever happened to him, she would always be taken care of, agreed to the marriage. And about this incident, actually R K Narayan refers to this personal experience in a number of his novels and as well as the short stories. But as the horoscopes did not tally, so this happy marriage, their marriage was a very happy one. Though Rajam did not know English, she took keen interest in the work of her husband and was a constant source of inspiration to him. But novelist happiness was very short-lived because his beloved wife died of typhoid in 1939, only 5 years after the marriage. And her death was shattering as well as rewarding experience for the novelist, that is R K Narayan. And passing through the dark valleys of the shadow of death, he emerged a fuller and wiser man. He gained that inner illumination, that increased knowledge of life and its mystery, which comes only through intense suffering. So his personal loss, which he suffered, colors many of his works. For 6 years after his terrible loss, Narayan did not write any novel. It was a period of deep anguish and introspection. And during this period, he only edited a journal, The Indian Thought, and published 3 volumes of short stories, Malgudi Days in 1941, Dodu and Other Stories in 1943, and Cyclone and Other Stories in 1944. His success as a writer came with the next novel, The English Teacher, which was published in 1945, and since then, novels have flowed from his pen in quick succession at the rate of 1 book every 2 years, and that is a very good record. An Astrologer's Day and Other Stories in 1947, Mr. Sampath in 1949, The Financial Expert 1952, Waiting for the Mahatma 1955, Lolly Road 1956, The Guide in 1958, and Next Sunday, a collection of sketches and essays in 1960, My Dateless Diary 1960, The Man-Eater of Malgudi 1962, Gods, Demons and Other Stories in 1965, The Sweet Vendor 1967, and A Horse and Two Goats in 1970. A version of the Ramayana based not on Valmiki, who wrote in Sanskrit, but on Kamban, the Tamil poet, was published in 1973, and this completes the list of his works published up to date. Narayan enjoyed very good health, and there was no decay or decline in his creative powers till he breathed his last. His guide received the Sahitya Academy Award for the year 1960, and the novel had also been filmed. The hero is Devanand and heroine is Wahida Rahman. It is a very, you can say, blockbuster. It has been a very popular film even till now. He was awarded Padma Bhushan in 1964. University of Leeds conferred on him the honorary D.Litt in 1967, and Delhi University followed suit in 1973. He has also been included in the Writers and Their Works series being published by the British Council. He is the only Indian writer so far to have achieved this distinction. He visited USA in 1956 on an invitation from the Rockefeller Foundation, and many of his stories and sketches have been broadcast by the BBC, which is a rare distinction. His works have been published both in England and in the USA, and in both these countries he has enjoyed wide popularity. And in America, he is regarded next only to Faulkner and Graham Greene. So, this is a brief introduction of the writer. So, in my next session, we will discuss the novel, The Guide. Thank you.